Let's move into the starting position for the Slings Myofascial Training sequence together. Take a seat on your mat in basic long sit. Keeping your feet where they are, gently pull the heels towards the sit bones. Release the pull. Engage pelvic floor and abdominals. Tilt the pelvis back, curl. Keep your lower abdominals fully engaged. With the help of your hands, slide the legs towards you, lift them off the floor, and roll back. Once you have arrived on your lower back, gradually and completely release into restful pose. Step one foot after the other onto the floor. The legs are hip distance and parallel, and your arms are outstretched on the floor. Bring your awareness to your center again. Engage pelvic floor and abdominals. Tilt the pelvis back. Let the lower back melt into the floor, and then curl up into a shoulder bridge position. You're peeling one vertebra after the other off the floor. In the shoulder bridge position, pause. Place the massage domes flat side up beneath your pelvis, and then roll down, centering your pelvis on the massage domes. The lower back is in its natural alignment. Let the knees fall together. Walk the feet apart, so they're about mat distance apart. This is an A stance. And then you let the left leg slide along the right, and you let the pelvis turn towards the right side. And then back to an A stance, and letting the right leg glide along the left, the pelvis rotates, and back to A stance in your own rhythm. Make it a fluid motion. Now we are aiming to lubricate the hip joints on the inside and also bring a feeling of length into the sides of the hips, so a feeling of openness. Now, as you are sliding the legs and let your pelvis rotate from one side to the other, you are also mobilizing your spine. So lubricating the joints of the spine with this rotational movement. Stay in A stance. Walk your feet together again. The legs are hip distance and parallel. You might have to reorganize your props. The pelvis is centered, the lower back once again in its natural alignment. The muscles of the pelvic floor and deep abdominals lightly engaged, just enough to stabilize the pelvis. Float your right leg into tabletop. Find a 90-degree angle. Float the leg back down. Press down with your foot lightly. Float the left leg into tabletop. Find a 90-degree angle. Float the leg down. Press lightly. Exhalation, leg float up. Inhalation is relatively short, and then with your exhalation, you float the leg back down. As you inhale, you press the foot lightly into the floor and you change side in your own rhythm. Leg floats up is one of the most powerful core stabilization exercises that I know. It is a very quiet exercise, quiet on the inside of the body and also ideally quiet in the mind. Muscularly speaking, you engage your pelvic floor and abdominals consistently, minimally, just enough to dynamically stabilize the pelvis and the lower back. Dynamic stabilization means there is no movement visible, however, there is no fixation either. So it's a kind of adaptable stability where there might be internal changes that are not externally visible. Let's do one more leg float up, and then you pause. Engage more strongly through the center. Float your second leg to tabletop. Connect the legs. Let the lower legs dangle, and then let the knees turn towards the chest. Bring the knees back above the hips. Tip with your toes on the floor, and once again, knees turn towards the chest, and so forth. So as the knees move towards the chest, the pelvis tilts back, the lower back curls. And by sense, you let the spinal bones rest in their resilient fascial hammocks. Now, if you like, you add rhythm. So it's a double springy movement followed by a toe tap. Double exhalation followed by a slower inhalation. Elasticizing the fascia of your back, adding to its tensile strength and resilience. Let's do this one more time. And then step your feet onto the floor. Move the feet and the legs hip distance apart. Tilt the pelvis back, pelvic curl into a shoulder bridge once again. Pelvic floor abdominals engage. They collaborate with your hip extensor muscles. So how does that feel? You're drawing the pubic bone towards the sternum, and you're reaching with your sit bones towards the knees. Take the massage domes away from beneath your pelvis, and then roll down slowly, imprinting one vertebra after the other into the mat, and at the end, you center the pelvis, center the lower back. Reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Float one leg into tabletop. Float your other leg into tabletop. Connect the legs. Curl up. Hold on behind your knees. And then press your knees into the hands. Roll up into a spine stretch. Gently pull your heels towards the sit bones. Elongate the spine with ease.